Today we have Rich Davis, who has his own show at SiriusXM called Covino and Rich. It's on 8 a.m. on weekdays on the Faction Channel, and he also has a show on ESPN 2, which is coming back next week. It's called Now and Never. It's on at 9:30 Pacific time, and it's one of my favorite shows too, and he's the host of that also. Rich, welcome.
Yo, the boss. What's up, Ross? The boss. Good to see you, man. I miss your face.
I miss you too. Thanks for coming on. We're talking fantasy football here today. The draft is happening right when everybody's drafting.
I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about your fantasies. Fantasy football?
No, that's later. It's fantasy football. We're excited about the new season. I know it's COVID. We're crossing our fingers. Nothing happens. Mm-hmm. But I have a feeling that it's going to work perfectly. That we're not hearing about any cases about any NFL teams. There's nothing going on. I also have my co-host Dan with me. Dan, say hello.
Hey, Rich. Dan, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. I'm a huge fan of ESPN and sports, but I had kids 11 years ago, and I've seen almost no TV since. So actually, this is refreshing. I believe that you are famous, but somehow I don't actually know that.
Well, I'm not. Don't worry. Ross is making everything up. But listen, I have two little kids too, man. So I'm watching Bubble Guppies in the background when I'm off of this.
Oh, I remember Bubble Guppies. Oh, I remember it. You'll get through those days. I have an 11 and 7-year-old now. It gets better.
So, Rich, I know you play fantasy football. The drafts are happening. What is your strategy during these drafts? What do you like? How do you draft? Do you draft quarterback, running back, best player? Tell me what you do.
I go best player and people that I actually want to watch play. Believe it or not, as I know that's not the most competitive strategy, but because you know what, if you draft someone that you don't like and then they stink, it's like double whammy against you. So I almost want to draft guys that I enjoy watching play, that I root for, not only on my team but just around the league. Because then I feel like my team is someone I actually root for. I think that's the strategy I've gone with, and I like to get some sleepers in there. I like to take chances because, truthfully, a couple $100 with your buddies. If you lose, you lose. If you win, it's fun bragging rights. But I like to take chances too.
Okay, tell me your chances this year. Tell me what picks are you going to take late in the draft that you feel are going to have big years?
All right, late in the draft. First of all, I think one of the best wide receivers might be Mike Evans, because he's already stroking Tom Brady, saying, "Oh, he's my best teammate ever," and they hung out for 2 weeks. So I think Mike Evans, who I know he puts up numbers, but I think he'll have a lights out year. My 49ers have no wide receivers because Deebo Samuel is going to start the season hurt, and they're so thin in that position that Brandon Ayuk, the rookie, no one may draft him at all. So I feel like later rounds, Jimmy Garoppolo's got to throw to someone. So that's a pick I like there.
No, but Brandon I love. He went to my alum. He went to the school I graduated from. I saw him play all three years at Arizona State. He's unbelievable. He should have a big year. He'll surprise people. And it's with this year with no preseason, Rich. It's crazy. We can't even watch the guys like Ayuk play. I mean, it's they're just going out there. We're just throwing these people out there, and they're like, we hope they can catch, or they hope we can run. We have no idea. It should be interesting.
I'm curious about this though, because you're a 49ers fan.
Yeah.
How often do you draft 49ers because of it? I mean, for me, I'm a Browns fan, which is misery. But I tend to not take them because I feel like they're going to frustrate me in the regular season. I don't need extra frustration with that.
I usually, not in the very beginning. It's not like I'm saying my first quarterback's Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not that dumb. But if I see players I like drop, I'll probably take Kittle earlier than I should if he's still on the board. I will absolutely take him probably before a wide receiver. Him or Kelsey, I think, are in a different league. So if they're still on the board at any point, I feel like you want to grab them. Ross, I thought about you were saying you like Cleveland, and I know Ross is a Cincinnati fan.
Right.
What about Odell Beckham Jr. coming off a disappointment? Could he drop where he's a super value? And Ross, are you taking Joe Burrow at any point?
I'll let Dan answer the Cleveland Browns question about Odell Beckham Jr.
Well, first of all, I think you do want to look for those people with bounce back years. I mean, Odell is so talented, so he could really go off, and you can get him very cheap. So, and Joe Burrow, it depends on the format. He's a rookie quarterback. I like to go for rookie running backs because they're the ones that tend to provide the most value. But Hard to trust the Browns, I gotta
Rich,
say.
in a 10-person league, there's 10 better quarterbacks than Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow might be a backup guy. Let's say you take a quarterback that gets hurt sometimes, and like maybe a Drew Brees who's 38. I guess he's 40 years old now.
Yeah.
And maybe you want some safety. Joe Burrow, he has great receivers. He has AJ Green and he has Boyd, and those two guys alone and Mixon is a great receiving running back too. I mean, that all being said, Joe Burrow, the kid's a winner. I mean, wherever he goes, he wins. I mean, we'll see what happens in the pros, but I like Joe Burrow. I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback. I wouldn't take him in the first 8 rounds or 9 rounds of a league, but the Bengals are going to be a very improved team this year, and they have a soft schedule too, so it's going to be fun to watch them.
I'm curious what you guys think, because you guys you guys probably know more than me. What do you think about guys that change teams? Do you take chances on a Todd Gurley in Atlanta, or do you take chances on a Melvin Gordon going to Denver? Do you like when guys change scenery?
That's a great question. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and some of it depends on where they go. If a running back goes to an Andy Reid offense, for example, I'm all over that, even though it's probably going to end up some kind of committee. Melvin Gordon, I really like this year in Denver. They always know how to run the ball well, and he's very underrated. He's still a fairly young
and he signed a huge deal. I mean, they're paying him millions of dollars.
Right, so they're going to start him.
He'll be getting the ball. He's not.
Yeah.
I mean, Lindley's not going to be touching the ball that much compared to Gordon. And in Denver, I love Drew Lock. I like him too. I mean, they have a good team there. They scare me, but with the player like David Johnson I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
David Johnson is playing for Houston this year. He got hurt. The past 2 years he's been hurt. But when he was healthy, remember how great that guy was?
Of course.
He was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. But I mean, there's so many, as I said, there's so many variables to do with fantasy football. There's luck, there's people staying healthy, and now this year we got to deal with COVID. And if a player gets COVID, there's going to be some football players that get COVID. Yes, they're going to be.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen, okay? So they'll be gone for 2 weeks. They'll be on the IR for 2 weeks having COVID. So when that happens, you better have that person's backup ready to go. You know what I mean?
I didn't even think of that ridiculous strategy. There's going to be people that their whole team is thrown for a loop because their first or second round guys might be COVID. That's insane.
Exactly.
Hey, let me ask you another guy that to back up what the boss was saying, Ross the boss. Guys that are looking for bounce back years. Le'Veon Bell has done nothing for the Jets. Do you think? And remember, like a year ago, he told the world, "If I were you, draft me first." Like, do you think Le'Veon Bell's got some juice?
I don't. No offense, Le'Veon, but here's the problem. You're playing for the Jets. I mean, that really limits how much you can do. Now, listen, I'd love to talk about this all day, especially with you. But we're gonna have to move on shortly. And there's a question I'm just dying to ask you.
Yeah.
Every fantasy player has a bad beat. Their worst memory of fantasy sports. What's the worst thing that ever happened to you in fantasy sports, where you didn't start the right guy or that sort of thing?
Oh, yeah. You know what it is? It was
hard to remember. That's a good sign.
It's hard to remember because I blanked those memories out, but it was I'm pretty sure it was a couple times when I had Derrick Henry, not obviously not in the playoffs. Before that, like there were times where he's gone off and then he's got cold. I mean, that's his reputation before the playoffs last year. Like he would rush for 30 yards, and then the next week he would rush for 200 yards. I feel like I guessed wrong with Derrick Henry one year I had him, where it was like I started him 20 yards, sat him 200 yards. So I think I fell victim to that. And yeah, that's and you know what? Drafting my own guys, like thinking that Michael Crabtree was going to make a big difference on the Niners. I remember being like, yo, Crabtree's going to dominate, and he stunk.
Yeah, it's
Rich, hard. Okay, last question. You have the first pick in the draft. Who are you taking? You have the first pick. Anybody in the league.
Ooh.
Go.
I like, you want to say Christian McCaffrey, but I feel like that guy's got life by the balls already. His beautiful girlfriend. He just got all that money. like something's bound to go wrong, even if he stubs his toe. So I'm going to go Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara. I just think between the catches out of the backfield,
I know, but Kamara didn't score a touchdown till like the 6th game of the season last year. Remember?
I know. I just look at him and I feel like something. I feel like it's. I don't know. First picks stink, Ross, because I feel like the first 5 to 10 are interchangeable. So if you have the first pick, I hate that position because, frankly, then your next pick, you got to go up and down the chain. You know.
Right. And everybody else is getting more value.
Yeah,
all right, listen, Rich.
Rich, thanks for coming on today. We'll talk again later in the season. Last question, because I'll give my picks later.
Well, I got a question for you.
What is it?
Would I be striving? Would it be buying a stock at its 52-week high if I decide to go at Mostert? Because no one knew who he was. He blew it up for the 49ers and looked like a superstar. He got the contract in the offseason. They worked it out. But he could fall flat. Where do you think Mostert's going to go for the Niners?
Mostert averaged 5 yards a carry. He'll be fine. He'll be drafted in the 4th or 5th round.
Okay.
He'll have 1,000 yards. He'll have 8 touchdowns. He's a good second
agree.
back.
You're not going to get great value on him, but he won't hurt you.
Rich, Super Bowl. Who's the winner? 2021. Give me your team. Go.
Man, hard to say it's not going to be Kansas City again. I hate repeats. I hate when the same teams are there, but what changed? They were that good and nothing changed. So unless Lamar Jackson pulls something out of his butt and just is what he was last year and they get to the championship game, I think you're looking at some of the same teams in the mix. Thanks again, by the way, thanks for having me on, guys.
Rich, thanks for coming on. Now or never, 9:30 new time on ESPN 2 weekdays. And Convener and Rich in the morning on Faction Channel, SiriusXM. Rich Davis, everybody.